Richard, it's been a while. Welcome back.
Right.
Welcome back to the show. As you can see, my beard has grown in anticipation for this.
And oddly, I just shaved.
I
So
know exactly.
there is balance in the universe.
It's like a migration, the yin and the yang when it comes to Saito.
I've
Well,
got too much grey in my beard to publicly show it off.
so I'm sure our viewers, although they have listened in and tuned in to hear about our beard stories, I think they're more interested in what's been happening with Saito. So let's kick off as we always do. So support for Ethereum and Bitcoin on the Saito Network. Richard, what is that all about?
So I think people had seen previously we'd had what we call Web3 crypto. So the ability to support sending, receiving, but then also using third-party cryptocurrencies in Saito applications. Really simple to do. You just head over to the sidebar and click a drop-down and select the crypto you want to use. This is all part of demonstrating just how powerful the network is, and also giving developers options that aren't simply Saito to build useful applications. Right now, you can stake cryptocurrency in games, so you can play a game of Settlers of Satoa for 0.02 Ethereum or whatever you like. And there's obviously features that the community's starting to talk about, like tipping maybe in Red Square, etc. So we're looking to what's got the most interest, and we'll be following up with that. Obviously, Ethereum and BTC are kind of hallmark crypto, so we're happy right now that the little drop down says Ethereum, BTC, and Saito. But one of the things we've gotten sort of from the community as in response to this is real interest in putting some other tokens and coins on the network. And to that extent, the big exciting thing that's come about is we've got a page up on the wiki now, easy to find, on our SaitoListing Program. So if a project or representatives for a project would like to have applications on the Saito network supporting their crypto, there's a path where we can be helpful and make that happen with them together. So that's pretty cool.
No, it is, and it's not just pretty cool though. I mean, like, while you said at the beginning, it's quite a simple thing to do. In fact, when you kind of look at the broader aspect of it, it is not just about focusing on Saito. It is showing that you are able to work with other chains. Because some people may come on and be on Red Square, play a game, whatever it may well be, and they might want to hold on to their Saito. Maybe that's not what they want to actually exchange as their sort of main base currency. It might well be other tokens that they've had lying around for ages, perhaps, or something that they have more of that they're more than happy to liquidate a bit in terms of.
Yeah, I mean it's giving people who aren't in the Saito community access to what we're doing. It's also letting some of the other communities do much more with their tokens than they can simply watching them, essentially, if they're ERC20s or something like that. And it's also obviously a great plan to step by step move towards world domination for us, because we can bring people to Saito application suite through their ability to use dog with a hat and a stick or whatever the latest token is, if that's what they wanted to list. And do something useful with it, and thereby see what Saito can achieve, and obviously.
But it's also a broader awareness, right, in other communities, because as you mentioned, you've got the SaitoListing Program, and by having that, it may well be that then there's polls, then there's outreach to other communities. Hey, you want to get your token listed as a form of payment?
That's why we set up the program. Rather than it seeming like something that had to come from us, we'd much rather it be something that's driven by other communities where we can help and kind of join in what they're doing and support them, rather than have it sort of be from the center out. That's not really how we want to operate. So
that sounds really good. Tokenomics. I hear somebody's lit a fire somewhere, Richard.
Yep, there was a burn. Basically, the big thing with the Tokenomics update was its confirmation and following through on various things we'd said earlier, over the last year and a bit, on where we are with the security of the network and the maturity of the network and our strategies for growing uses, etc. So we talked a lot more about the token faucet, or the possibility for that. And what we were just talking about, Web3 crypto and other things, give us other ways to maybe do that. And we also then talked about where the price was at, et cetera, and the logic of the best thing to do, whether it would be to have something like an advertising faucet, which we could still fund with what's there, or whether tightening supply would make more sense in terms of making sure that the token as utility is there. It's a stable price and it's suitable for what people want to do with it. So the big news really out of the tokenomics update, more than that, was that we've got the enhancements to the consensus protocol. They're kind of buttressing to make sure that we have far greater security at low fee transaction. Saito being secured by fees, there's a bootstrapping issue. If you don't have enough fees going through the network, you could have a fork or something. So if you have too much value there, there's a risk. This is a big step forward for us and accelerates all of our plans because it allows us to essentially require a stake or the lockup go into the block. And that means that, if you're going to create 50, 60, 100 blocks to make a fork, to fork some transaction off the network, you're going to have to lock up a huge amount of money, and it gives the rest of the network time to combat that. That's a pretty cool little innovation. We didn't want to do initially because we wanted to kind of keep things pure, but we think the situation status of the chain now has pushed the urgency forward, and I think people understand pure Saito consensus as well by this point. So that's moved ahead, and in the tokenomics side of that, we've also put a fund aside to help support people get going with block creation because of that now additional staking cost. So there's a fund to assist with that. And that's really the tokenomics updated.
One of the other things that we were talking about earlier, and obviously, as a YouTuber, and as some of my viewers also may know, that I also stream on Binance Live. So there's two different platforms, right? And I've always seen the benefit when it comes to being able to have one stream go to two places without having to necessarily use platforms like Restream.io, for example, which sells multiple streams. But SwarmCast is live, I hear, so that seems like another little item to add to my Saito toolkit, I suppose.
Yes, I mean, SwarmCast partially demonstrates the modularity of Saito. So it's taking these common tools that we've built for Saito Talk, which we use all the time as a meeting platform, and added to that the ability to form a swarm and have the streaming be peer-to-peer rather than going to a central house that then streams it out like Restream or something would. This is, inspired by Twitter Spaces, where we always had technical problems, and we were just like, there must be a better way. But the challenge, obviously, with a traditional meeting software, if it's peer-to-peer, is that you can't have the hosts feeding 500 people. And the only logical way to be able to build an arbitrarily sized audience is to have the audience sharing chunks like a swarm in a torrent, but with live content. We've got a version of that out. We really need real world testing to be able to make it robust in bigger and bigger situations. It's awfully complicated when you have person A getting their stream from B and C, and then C drops out, D takes over, and then it takes some doing to really refine those algorithms. But we've got the basis in place. It's working. We've done a few SwarmCasts with 30, 40 people in them that have run very well. And we've started doing a semi-regular podcast using that feature as well. So we had Dan Held from Radix on the other day, and we've got another one recording next week, which is pretty exciting. And then we thought, well, to help people make use of that, obviously you can record locally, but we've also set it up so you can simulcast to live on YouTube, which means it's very simple to just say, do your SwarmCast, and for the real degens, the Saito people who want to come along and peer-to-peer share that, it works. But there's also a simple way of having people who subscribe to your YouTube channel get their notifications and all of that sort of stuff. So that's a pretty cool piece of tech.
And again, I'm going to say it goes back to awareness. It goes back to outreach as well at the same time. It goes back to the diversification of platforms that you can ultimately use in order to reach out to communities as well. I mean,
it's great for us as a project if people start using the tool for podcasting or recording, and it's really important if we want people to pick it up in that way, that they can send that out to their other sources. So we'll actually look at things like Restream and other ways people might want to broadcast out. So you can have the peer-to-peer Swarm and then any other services sort of hanging off that that you want.
I want to talk about decentralized moderation. So,
Yep.
as you may know, and some of my viewers may know, I recently had my Twitter account suspended by the great Elon. And the reason being so is because I decided to highlight in the space that there are various Trojan applications, bad actors in Twitter. And I created a thread exposing cyber criminals, basically. And in part of exposing that, my account was flagged for suspension. Let's talk about decentralized moderation, because I think this is quite an important topic, especially when it comes to moderation and, I suppose leaving all the power in one person's hand.
Right. Well, I mean, if we're crypto people, old cypherpunks somewhere in the deep history, we're all about removing central control, central obstacles, gatekeeping, all of that kind of thing. At the same time, obviously, we want to be able to, as individuals, we want to have the ability to control and determine what you yourself see, even just at a curatorial level. So people always think about censorship, but one of the other things I've said is if you want a model train association feed, you want to be able to moderate for keeping the content on topic, etc. And you need a community for that. And the Saito approach is decentralized moderation, which is a set of tools that make it user-friendly and possible. So you're not spending all your time being a moderator just for yourself to curate all the stuff. And then, in doing that, also seeing all the rubbish you don't want to see, just so that you can ban it or mute it. It's a set of tools to allow you to behave really like we do in society or in groups or in families, whatever, where we rely on each other to do some curation of what's going to happen in our space. So, you just don't invite Yelly Guy to the second dinner. You don't. Or you kind of set out, you're clear about what you want to hear. So it's basically a set of ways of making sure that if you do connect with someone, if they're your friend on the network, your contact, that you get their stuff. But then when you do that, you also start feeding each other information on what you're excluding. And none of this is forced on anyone. It's all opt-in. The feed of everything is still underneath. But I think you'll see on Red Square that the community around that have created a space for themselves, which I think is really improved for the curatorial aspect of it. People are free to set up other nodes which have very different policies or attitudes, and I'm sure that it'd be super interesting to see how that actually turned out in terms of what that looked like, to the organic kind of differences you'd get from doing that. But we're really pleased with it because it's had a positive impact on Red Square. We feel like it's a lot more pleasant, fun place to be. At the same time, we haven't banned anybody. We haven't come down with a ban hammer or gone full Elon and started saying, well, you can't have nice things. So we're really proud of it. We don't think anyone else in the space is really trying to approach these things that way and trying to keep things properly open and peer-to-peer, but still attend to people having a good experience. And so, it's been interesting how successful it's been. We'll need to keep working on it. We were kind of worried initially it would be patchy. It's been fairly seamless, but we haven't necessarily pushed it in all the directions and stressed and strains that it will see. But so far we're getting great response.
So much innovation happening with Saito, and it doesn't stop there. And before we wrap up, Richard, I'm sure there are more things coming.
Well, stay tuned. So Saito Summer has been just a blanket term for general updates. There's been a lot of software to come out, some tokenomics updates. There'll be more bigger and better project announcements upcoming as well. So we're really proud of it. It's been one of those things. The classic when marketing. I was really happy to see Vitalik himself respond the other day to a when marketing tweet.
Oh yes,
everybody gets this.
That's right.
Us. And it's really been an effort for us to get more light on and more exposure to these cool things we're doing, to try our best to get out there and show them to people. And it's not stopping yet. There's plenty of summer to come, and we're really pleased that the kind of impact it's had on volume on Red Square. People are getting involved. We're seeing new people in community. So yeah, it's been really positive, and we'll watch this space. There's more to come.
Exactly, and hopefully, if our time zones align one day, then I think I'd like to try out the SwarmCast live with YouTube simulcast. And I think that would be pretty cool.
We should do that. That'll be really fun.
All right. Well, in that case, Richard, let's catch up on our next update. Thanks to the viewers for tuning in, and we'll see you all on the next one.
See you, folks.